Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We are back in the Psychology of Eating podcast. I'm with Denise today. Welcome, Denise.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you. Glad we're here. Glad we're doing this. So, you know the idea. And for anybody that's new to the podcast, here's what we're doing. You and I are meeting for the first time, and we get to have a session together and see if we can, help move you forward in a good way. So if you could wave your magic wand and have what you wanted with food and body, what would that look like for you?
Wave my magic wand. I think in this space in my life right now, I think it would be the ability to be more consistent with what I know to be what's best for me in this kind of stage of my life, and to not self-sabotage or let emotions take over goals or things that I know to do, because I think most of us know what to do. It's that, depending on your childhood and the different things that food has directly or indirectly impacted, to not just feel so burdened by every choice around food.
Yes.
Every choice, what's it doing? Not just, is this going to make me whatever, but how is this affecting me, cellularly, or hormones, things like that. I've noticed, I was really intentional about staying away from sugar through the holidays because I've noticed it makes me very sensitive and moody. And as I get older, I'm more in tune with those things, but I still sometimes feel like I've got this like goal and this idea of how I want to take care of my body, and yet something always comes up and it feels like my habit is to go to food for comfort or emotional support instead of things that I know work way better. And I do really well for a while, but then I slip back into those old mindset habits, and to just have the freedom to just do the best I can, nourish my body, think of it as, as like this thing that has supported me through so much in 50 years, and love it for where it's at. And I make progress in that area, and then I just feel like I just snowball back downhill to not healthy thinking.
Okay. So that's a nice, big, juicy desire. You
Right.
want to be able to do the things that are good for you, even though a lot of times you don't do them and it feels like you're sabotaging yourself. So ultimately, do you want to lose weight? Are you happy with your body?
I would love to lose some weight, but I was an athlete when I was younger, and I actually would love to not just lose weight, but have the consistency, again, discipline to go to the gym a little more, or to lift weights, or to, I enjoy walking. We have dogs. I live in New Mexico, so we have a lot of really nice weather days. But yeah, lose weight for sure. Feel good in my skin. And, I've gotten better at, like, regardless of what I weigh, seeing myself in pictures and going, well, that's just where you're at right now. That's not who you are. That's just what you look like right now. But trying to find that healthier balance. So yes, lose weight, but feel not so emotionally and mentally drained by the end of the day that I could add in some more workouts, because in the morning it's really not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when was the last time you had the body that you felt good about, or the weight that you felt good about?
A couple of years ago, I actually, during COVID, I started a nutrition program and had the most success I've had with anything probably since my 30s. Like I said, when I was younger, I played sports and I was very active. And so even when I got a little, like, a little heavier than I wanted to be, I could make up my mind, when you're in your 20s and 30s, like, don't eat carbs, go for a walk, drink only water, stuff like that. And I could make a big difference. But just a couple of years ago now, before that, it had been about 10.
Got it. So a couple of years ago, you were at the weight that you can say, yeah, that's where I wanted to be. So
within 10 pounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
within 10 pounds. Yeah, I
So
was
how'd you
the
feel?
happiest I had been in a long time. Yes, sir.
So how long did you hang out there?
Let's see. I want to say September 2020, August, September. So end of 2020 to probably about 8 or 9 months, I guess.
And then what happened?
Well, I have had a lot. We've had, and everybody has, but I think for me, the main thing was some of those habits that I was working on improving. They didn't really stick because the other ones have been around longer. So I went back to just gradually making more not as healthy choices as I was healthy choices. Like it didn't swing like this. It was more like this very gradual thing where it kind of just crept back on. And I wasn't going for walks. And let's see, in just this year, my daughter got engaged and then got married 3 months later. My husband had hip replacement surgery and was out 4 months of work. So there's been a lot of financial things. My baby was her senior year. We had all the prom and all the things, and she moved out. So I was a single mom for 20 years and only recently married. And we just celebrated our 6th anniversary. And so when your whole world revolves around your children and all of that, just major changes. Yeah, I think most of my, like, what happened has just been a lot of just life and me trying to be a better version of myself, but never feeling like I'm quite where I need to be, even with just, doing my job the best that I can. And I'm the oldest of 6 kids. I'm kind of the peacekeeper with our family, and making my family a priority is a huge deal. And I'm involved in our church, and, everything involves food. So it's not just a holiday thing. I mean, it's all the time.
So how old were you when you noticed that food seemed to be problematic for you, that you started watching food and monitoring it and wanting to lose weight and not feeling good about your body?
Probably a teenager, I guess. I had a coach one year after a summer where we traveled a lot. Our family traveled a lot, and I was playing sports, and I came back from the summer, and the coach literally pointed out that I had gained weight over the summer, a female coach at that. I know that some of my issues, and I don't mind saying this because I know there's a lot of women that deal with this. I was sexually abused as a child, and I've done a lot of work in that area as far as forgiving and all that. But there's something that kind of, I feel like, happens to you on a such a deep level where you just don't ever 100% feel like good enough to feel good about yourself or something. I don't know. I remember pretty early on, during the time when some of that was happening, as a child, not even a teenager, having some, I guess, suicidal thoughts. And then high school was all about, I'm the oldest, so you're a people pleaser. You're making straight A's. You're, top of the class, literally graduated top of my class. I'm playing all the sports. I'm going to state in every sport. I'm qualifying in, basketball, volleyball, track, pushing myself, to be the best version of myself. And then college happens, and that's a whole nother, it's a whole nother thing. I had a really good guy friend tell me one time, that I would be a knockout if I just lose some weight. I know he meant well, but because we were friends. But there's those things that stick with you, and just constantly seeing myself in pictures and just wanting to like who I am, what I look like, to see all that I've overcome, and be to heck with that negative voice that just uses this I'm a spiritual person, and Paul said there's this thorn in his flesh, and this has been my thorn for years.
Yes. Yeah. So that's hard. It's you're describing a lifetime of, here's been your journey and here's been your challenges. And yeah, when we have trauma at a young age, if we're abused at a young age, or if we're abandoned, or, death of a parent. It's so, in so many ways, when there's a trauma at a young age, it's hard to, I want to say, be in our body. It's hard to feel that this body is this body is basically my home. It's your home. Like, yes, your home is where love is. Your home is with your family. Your home is where your partner is, maybe. Your home is where God is or Jesus is. And at the same time, fundamentally, you wake up every morning and you go to, it's your home is your body. And if the body's not a safe place, then we're never at home. And we're never quite feeling good about this body as home. So I'm just putting in different words what I hear you saying. And, having the weight that I feel comfortable at, that's a way to say my home feels good. Home base feels okay. And it sounds like for you, this has been a lifelong struggle.
Yeah, it has.
And it's tiring.
Yeah, because I will make some progress. Several years ago, I was working with an online coach that I found through a friend of my sister's, and we were really digging into like sleep and different things, not just what are you eating and who's your exercise routine. Like, we were really doing some mindset work, and I was feeling like stronger, and I was happy with the things that my body could still do, even though I've been kind of inactive for several years. And within about a 3-month stretch, I had a car accident, totaled a vehicle. And it could have been a lot worse, but it did set me back. And then, like I said, my husband and I, newlyweds, I've actually had 2 miscarriages. And the second one, or the first one, happened within 2 months of the car accident. So it just seems like I make some progress, and a couple of years ago was the furthest I had pushed the sled down the hill or up the hill, and felt like my relationships were improving, and I felt like I was doing my job better, and I felt like I was kind of coming into, and then I've literally spent the last 6 months, maybe 8-9 months, trying to figure out what happened. Like, you were on this good path, and you were making progress, and I just cannot even seem to get back to like where I was when I started. I feel like I'm just going more backwards, really, some days, with just how I feel about myself, really, and wanting to feel so much better, but struggling to get there,
Yes. So let me offer a few thoughts, just kind of how I see these things. First of all, what you're trying to do is not easy, because if it was easy, you would have done it. So let's just say that, you certainly get an A for effort. And the hard part is you work hard and you're putting in all this effort. And yeah, you feel like, okay, I'm making progress, but then what happens? I get thrown off. Things happen in life, I get thrown off. And I'm assuming when you get thrown off, that affects your eating, that affects how you feel about your body, that affects how you take care of yourself. So, you use the word, I use the word progress. I'm making progress, and then something happens. So yes, it's useful to work on mindset. And a lot of times in this situation, or if I'm working with a client, I'm literally working with them on mindset, because that's what's going to move things forward. Sometimes, to help somebody, you just work with them on lifestyle pieces, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. You help somebody, implement certain lifestyle practices, certain nutritional practices. That's enough to move the dial for them. And just as I'm listening for you, like, I'm asking myself the question, what's going to help move things along for this woman? What's going to help move things along for Denise? And what I keep coming up with is that there's a deeper dive in here for you. And part of it is, in a strange way, to let go of the previous ways that you've measured progress. Because what's happening is the way you're measuring progress, you see yourself making progress. Understandably, I'm feeling good. I'm taking care of myself. I'm eating well. Maybe I'm exercising well, following this nutritional system. Something happens in life and I'm thrown off. And then where the mind goes is, well, I've taken steps back now. And part of it is that when you take a step back, it's not really a step back. It's not going in the opposite direction.
Mhm.
Part of that is, I think, the learning. Part of it is learning for you. A part of it is how you hold setbacks, how you hold life events that get in the way. And part of you see them as like almost feels like a bit of a sin, like you did something wrong.
Yeah, I struggled with that for many, many years after the abuse. I've known so many women, in college and things like that. And almost everyone fell into these two categories. And it was something I just started to observe as a young adult in college. And even in my, after I graduated, women that have been sexually abused either, would not have anything to do with men and were gay or had, same-sex partners or whatever, because they just couldn't even stand the thought of a man, or, they're trying to fill the void with way too many of those kinds of relationships. And, I definitely swung that direction now because of my raising, and my faith came later in my life. I constantly tried to make the right decision, but even that, if something happened just once, I would beat myself up for months and months and feel not good and separated and,
Yes. And that's where your faith comes in. That's where it's about you truly practicing more what you believe in.
right.
And if you believe that you're forgiven, then at the very least, you need to forgive you. You need to forgive you that, yeah, these things happen. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. It just does. We can't explain it. You don't know God's plan. We don't understand. But a big piece of it is, if you feel like I've done something wrong, I don't forgive myself, I've taken a step back, this is about me, then what's going to happen is you're going to try to do things that fix it.
Right.
And, well, I got to fix this by practicing this, and I got to work harder here, and I got to work harder there. And it's not about doing anything. You don't have to do anything. In fact, I want to see you do less. I would love to see you cross so many things off the list that you think you need to do to take care of yourself. Now, yeah, there's lots of things you and I need to do that fall under the category of taking care of myself. So I'm not saying throw those out the window, but what I'm saying is take a period of time where you focus on what's most important that you can do for yourself. And what's most important is to stop doing things so you can be forgiven, to stop doing things so you can prove to yourself that you are lovable and you are worthy. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to lose any weight. You don't have to eat any better than you're eating today or yesterday or tomorrow. Your body doesn't have to look any different. Now, you and I, we have our preferences. Yeah, I want to be a certain level of fitness. I want to have my body look a certain way. You want to be a certain level of fit. You want your body to look a certain way. I'm right there with you. And we got to be able to put that aside for the moment, for once, and say, and it's sort of a paradox, say, and even though I have my preferences, even though I'm not where I want to be with food, even though I'm not where I want to be with my body, I can love myself, and I'm forgiven, and I don't have to do anything different to be acceptable in my eyes, in the eyes of my loved ones, in the eyes of the Lord. The people that love you, love you. I'm sure your kids don't call you up every day and say, Mom, I'm not talking to you until you lose 10 more pounds. Or I'm not talking to you until you eat better.
Right.
Like, no, your loved ones don't say that stuff to you. They're not calling you up and judging you because you ate too much today.
Right.
They call you up and they love you. And if you gain 10 pounds, they love you. If you lose 50 pounds, they love you. Doesn't matter. So there's a place where that's what you need to give yourself. I think what happens, Denise, is that oftentimes, when we're young and something difficult happens, whatever it is, I'm young, something difficult happens, a part of us stays at that age. So even though, I think you said you're 50, so even though you're a 50-year-old woman and you have all the wisdom of a 50-year-old woman, you have all the experience of a 50-year-old woman, a mother, you've raised your kids, newly married, so you have all the wisdom of your life, your new faith. And at the same time, there's a part of you that's that young girl who was hurt and abused, who's just trying to figure it out. And she needs to know that she's just loved and she doesn't have to do anything. Because what happens is, I think there's a place where you go between personalities.
Yeah, I do actually.
You go between personalities. There's Denise that has her act together, and you know who you are, you know what you believe, you know how you feel, you know how much love you have. And there's the part of you that just goes into chaos inside yourself and trying to fix it, trying to fix whatever it is you're trying to fix in the moment, your diet, your weight, your life. And there's nothing to fix. You're living your life. You're doing your journey. You're following your path. You're not broken. Yeah, you're trying to be the best version of yourself. Like, yes, you are. And you're doing that. And this is what it looks like. This is what you being the best version of you looks like. You've made yourself into an amazing woman, and you've been a single mom. How many kids?
2 girls, which is another reason why I kind of want to figure something out, because I don't want them to feel like this still at 50. I've got one that is a lot like me, and one that I did a lot better job with the body image stuff and the confidence, and it's just really important to me for my girls more than anything that I like figure out whatever it is,
Sure. So it's about demonstrating to them that you are courageous enough to love yourself for who you are. That's what it is. Because you know what? Your girls like you, like all of us, they're going to have their ups and downs. They're going to have their challenges. They're going to have their moments in life. And what's most important when we're having our challenges is, yeah, you turn to your faith and you remember to just keep loving yourself through your challenges.
Yeah.
Not trying to fix it like something's broken. It's a shift in your perception. There is nothing broken about Denise. You don't ever need to use the term, I need to fix this. Fixing implies there's something broken. All you need to do is add more love into the meal here. You need to add more love into the relationship between you and you. That's all it is. And if you want to serve your daughters, demonstrate to them that I can love myself, even though, yeah, my life's not perfect, even though I go through hardship. Because there's the part of you I'm just feeling, because of a past trauma, there's still a little part of you that's living there. And when we're in trauma, that trauma just means unresolved stress. We had a stressful situation that was so intense that we just need to recover from it. And now normally, something stressful happens, and hopefully after a day or 2 or 3, you could take a deep breath, you come back to your center, And there's a part of you that's never quite come back to, I'm safe here. And the moment your mind starts to get really fast, because this is what happens when you're trying to fix yourself, your mind starts to spin, right? It starts working really fast and you start trying to figure out how to fix it. The moment your mind starts working fast, that's when I want you to catch yourself and take a deep breath and pray if you need to, and just affirm that I am here and I am safe. So to me, this is a religious, this is a spiritual awakening that you're looking to do. And a lot of times when we're ready for a spiritual awakening or a spiritual reckoning, we have to call it in. Sometimes it just happens, you know? Sometimes life just brings us to that moment. Other times we have to call it in. And what I hear you doing is you're trying to bring in the queen in you. The queen is the part of you that sits on her throne. And she's embodied. She's present. She knows who she is. She knows she's not perfect. She knows she's in the last half of her life. She knows that what's ever happened in the past has happened. And the queen in you is not the queen in women, in us. She's not sitting there going, do y'all approve of me? And if I lose weight, are you going to love me more? And do I look okay? And what do I have to do for you to like me? No. You know who you are. You know what you represent. Yes, you have your preferences. Yeah, I'd like to be fit, I'd like to lose weight. But those preferences, they're in their proper place. They don't sit on the top. They're over here. They're a side dish.
Mm-hmm.
So you're giving so much, you're putting your preference for a certain body and a certain way of eating and a certain way of exercising. You're putting that front and center like it's the most important thing. And it's not. Most important thing is the love you have in your life. The most important thing is who you are and what you're going to do with all these years that you have left.
Right.
The most important thing is you being the best version of yourself. And I'm going to suggest to you for now, the best version of you right now has nothing to do with what you eat and what your body looks like. You got to put that to the side. You got to give that a little vacation because it's got its grips on you. It's not where the action is for you. So part of you that believes, well, if I can fix that, then I fixed everything. If I could just be consistent and not sabotage myself, then all's going to be good. And we're trying to fix things in the wrong place. We're trying to fix something that's not broken. Your body changing, your diet changing, yeah, okay, you'll feel better about yourself on a certain level, but it's fleeting because you've been there before. You've had the weight you've wanted. And that doesn't ensure that you're going to live there and that you're going to live happily ever after. So that's why part of it is letting go of that dream. What happens is before you become a queen, naturally you're a princess. Before you become a king, you're a prince. The prince or the princess, that's just a younger version. And we're royalty inside, but we need the years of wisdom and growth to become the fullest expression. You need the wisdom of your years to become the queen. When you're a princess, in the princess stage, and I use that term not as an insult, because people have a negative connotation about princess. When you're in the princess stage, we're looking for approval from the outside world. Tell me you love me. Tell me I look good. And then people are telling us, oh, you gained weight, young princess. That's bad. And we take those messages in because we're vulnerable. Young people, young women, young men, we are vulnerable. We are vulnerable to harmful messages. And they get inside of us. And when they get inside of us, it's like a virus. It reproduces and we repeat them. So even though somebody might have said that to you once, we repeat the insult. And the truth is, you have love in your life. Life has proven to you that you don't need to look a certain way to have love in your life.
Mhm.
You don't need to look and eat a certain way in order to have the gifts that life brings to you. Yeah, you have struggle, but life has given you gifts. And probably when we weigh it all out, life has been good to you.
Yeah, most definitely.
So it's a shift that I'm asking you to make. I'm saying it's a spiritual shift. I'm saying it's a religious shift where you stop putting weight and food and diet and fitness on the altar and praying to that. That's not your God. That doesn't deserve the place of God in your life. But because of our young wounding, we think it does.
Right.
And you're not the only one. There's so many women and men, increasingly more, walking around thinking if I could just look the right way, it's all going to be okay. And meaning if I can eat the right way, it's all going to be okay.
Mhm. I feel like it affects um, my intimate relationships, in that I think what I've noticed as a pattern, and I was years without being in any relationship. I was just being the best mom I could be, But in relationships, I noticed that I tend to think they're thinking the worst thing when that's not at all. Like, even in relationships, almost like a self-sabotaging, creating something that's not really there, or, like feeling like I maybe push away, not everyone, because I'm super close to my family. I'm super close to my girls. I have very good friends that God's blessed me with for years. But in those intimate relationships, I feel like I'm being pulled backwards, and I'm not who I want to be, even in the relationship. I think that's probably subconsciously why I stayed single for so long, because I did it wrong once, and I saw like all the things I didn't like about myself, even in that relationship. And I just didn't want to do that again.
Yes. So let's do some reframes here. Instead of I did it wrong, it's you're doing what every other human being does when we arrive on planet Earth, which is we're learning and we're growing. And you're learning and you're growing. So right now, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong because you've been learning and you've been growing, and that's what you're doing. And I want you to notice every time you use the term self-sabotage, and I want you to take that out of your vocabulary. I want you to think, that guy told me, let go of that term. Why? Because it's not self-sabotage if you're in a relationship, if you're in an intimate relationship and you find yourself, you can't give all yourself, you can't be there fully, something, there's a reason for that. And there's good reason for that, given your past history. So you're learning how to be in intimate relationship. You're not sabotaging it, you're noticing, oh, here's my pattern. And that pattern, you know why it's there? It's there for your protection. You know why you want to protect? Because there was a point where your boundaries were obliterated by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you weren't able to protect yourself fully. So now your protection is up. That's a good thing. And, oh, wait a second, now I'm noticing my protection doesn't really need to be up in my closest intimate relationship, where I'm learning to trust my partner. And I'm learning to feel safe with a man. So all I'm saying is you don't self-sabotage, you're actually doing something smart, which is you're protecting yourself, until you realize, oh, I can feel safe. I can start to feel safe. You're learning how to do that. Notice how different that is from I sabotage myself. Something's wrong with me. I did it wrong the first time. Goodness, how many people go through divorce, go through many divorces, go through many marriages, many relationships. We live in a time where we're trying to figure it out. It's not easy. It's not easy being a human being alive on planet Earth, being in relationship, raising children, being intimate, learning how to deal with abuse and hardship and suffering, pain and disease. Stuff's not easy. So I just want to remind you that it's taking the language that you've done something wrong. You haven't done anything wrong. You've been a human being on a learning journey. And you being the best version of yourself means you're learning. You're learning your lessons. Oh, I'm safe. Oh, I need to actually practice love for myself. I need to practice that I'm okay who I am. I don't need to fix anything because there's nothing broken. Am I a perfect human being? No. Do I have my challenges? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You could be dying of cancer and not be broken.
Yeah.
We're whole human beings and we're on a journey that, has some pain and suffering here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that we're tainted somehow, that we're broken. So it's a whole different way of looking at things because I'm asking you to try on the possibility that there's nothing to fix. Remind yourself, yes, you have your preferences. Yes, it might be a challenge for you to eat healthy. But it's more important before you might learn how to stay in the groove with eating the way you want to eat and exercising the way you want to exercise. It's going to be much easier to get there when you start to give yourself a bit of a hug every day. When you treat yourself like you're that young girl who's been abused and you're just being the best mother to her. You're just loving on her every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to make you feel better. When you start to fix yourself, you abandon yourself. You're checking out. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be loved. There's people in your life who love you. That's great. You need to start doing that for yourself. My bet is that people in your life who are having challenges, you're not looking at them like they're broken and there's something wrong with them and you got to fix them. Yeah, you're there to help them, but you're loving them for who they are while you're helping them.
Right.
So I'm just asking you to do that for you. You're a lot calmer since you got on this conversation with me.
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, obviously, I think everything you're saying resonates with my, like the deepest part of me, like knowing, and I've done the work. I've done some work to work through kind of like the victim mentality. I mean, I think it's maybe, I don't know if it's going to always be there, but I acknowledge it, but I don't feel like that person all the time. But when I do, it feels like every area of my life has gone backwards. And what's resonating with me is just the loving of myself and how that's exactly how I treat and encourage everyone that I love, that I have the opportunity to encourage, and whether it's my family, sisters, friends, coworkers, that's what I tell people, but I just am not that great at it, or haven't been, very much my whole life, and
Yeah.
what that actually looks like and how that actually affects my relationship with my husband and at work. And because there's so many times when I feel like right now I'm kind of in this season where I just feel like there's this like spiritual attack and finances and work things and people lying about me at work even. I mean, like some of that stuff hasn't come up in a long time and it's all just like, and I'm just kind of taking this deep breath going, okay, my old, even a year ago self would have done this, this, and this. So I'm going to take a step back and not feel like I have to do anything just yet. And then this call is happening today, and I'm driving home to be on the computer because I was at work and my new laptop doesn't have a camera, and I was like, oh gosh, I got to get home. And I, I'm crying about things going on with my husband and I that are not ideal, and I'm realizing how like everybody's got so much on their plate, and we're really all doing the best we can, including me.
Yes. Yes. And you're worthy of loving yourself. And you don't have to fix yourself. Like, yeah, we got to do our life. And yeah, there's going to be hardship in there, but that doesn't, just because there's hardship doesn't mean we're doing something wrong.
Right. Right.
It doesn't mean there's something broken. It means here's life.
Right.
And this is your unique journey that God has given you.
Right.
And how do you keep standing by yourself and keep remembering what you know and keep believing in what you ultimately believe in, which I'm hoping is that you're loved and you're forgiven. You haven't done anything wrong. And if there's things you didn't do well, you didn't know any better.
Right.
And you're trying your best.
Right.
And even if you can't stick to a diet, it doesn't matter. It's hard to stick to a diet. And you know something? It's harder to stick to a diet when the diet means that if I follow this, I'm good and I love myself. And if I don't follow it, I'm bad and I hate myself. Woo! That puts a lot of pressure on us and we're bound to fail. It's too much pressure. We're
Right.
giving away all our power
Mm-hmm.
into a bunch of food and a way of eating. It's not that important.
Right.
What's important first is that you stop fixing and start to feel what it feels like, hey, just take 3 or 4 months, and pretend, you know something, just pretend this is the body I'm going to have for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to try to fix this body. I'm not going to try to change it. I just want to give it a little rest. I just want to let it know, you know something, body? I'm not trying to change you. So I can love you more. So I can love me more.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't say that to your girls when they were, I don't know, 2 years old and they had little baby fat on them. You wouldn't
Right.
say, waiting for your baby fat to come off and then I'm going to love you. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
So give your body the signal that you love it and you're not trying to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Because your body hasn't gotten that message from you. And from a young age, your body got some negative messages from the outside. So it's your job to fill in the love that your body needs and that is looking for. And it starts with you. And it really touches on just respecting yourself and honoring yourself and being able to say, like, yeah, you know the parts of your life that don't work,
Mm-hmm.
but also be able to acknowledge the parts of your life that do work and the parts of your life that are a blessing.
Yeah.
Is letting go of trying to fix your diet and fix your body so it's all going to be different. Just letting go of that for a while and
Okay.
seeing who am I without that pressure? Because that's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
So we're
Yeah,
just,
and I feel like there's been a lot of those kind of changes too. Like when you're a mom, I'm still a mom. It just looks different. One's 6 hours away and just got married. One's in college, and and I've raised them both well. I'm very proud of my girls,
good for
but
you.
I I I think I wish I think I wish I was more like excited about, okay, a new season to do some things for myself. And, I have somebody to share my life with and all of that. And I find myself not feeling that way just recently, not really knowing how to go on, you know, but I know that loving myself is something I have to keep working towards. And I know that
Yes,
it resonates with me 100%.
that's the starting place. And you are in a life transition. Age 50 is a big transition. Being no longer having any kids at home, that's a big transition. So, and transitions aren't always easy. And oftentimes it brings up a lot of emotion. It brings up grief because you're letting go of a part of your life that was a part of your life for a long time, and that gave you a lot of meaning. So right now there's a void to be filled, and you don't know exactly what's going to fill that. And while you're in that unknown, might as well just love yourself and stand by yourself and take care of yourself. And take care of yourself doesn't mean you got to eat perfectly and exercise perfectly. Taking care of yourself means you're doing things that help make you feel nourished, that help make you feel relaxed,
Mhm.
that make you feel like you're bettering yourself, and that come a little bit more natural to you. Don't
Mhm.
try to push yourself to do things that aren't coming more smoothly for you right now.
Okay. Okay.
So that's a nice big potent conversation I think we just had. At least
Yes,
that's
very
my
much.
impression.
Yes.
How are you feeling right now?
Hopeful.
Good for you.
Hopeful.
I think that's a good feeling.
And grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great feelings to remember that you can call them in. You can invite them in a little more,
Okay.
because that's like really good nutrition.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Denise, I really appreciate you just being in this conversation and hanging in there with me and being willing to just sort of reveal, a lot about your personal life that's, deeper and more meaningful and more potent and powerful. And I think a lot of people are going to benefit from listening to you and listening to this conversation. So I thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate you.
All right.
Mhm.
And thanks y'all for tuning in. Take care and lots more to come.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care, and remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.